So I'd now like to invite our next speaker for today. He's Mr. Aniket Patange. He leads the data center lifecycle solution business for Schneider Electric. He's the director for professional services, and he has more than 20 years of experience in consulting sales, marketing in the fields of industrial automation, semiconductor technology, and energy management solutions. Earlier in his career, Aniket has worked extensively with large engineering consulting and turnkey EPC contractors or projects across Asia Pacific and North America. So Aniket has a background in electrical engineering and an MBA in marketing. May I request you all to please welcome Mr. Aniket Patange, Director of Professional Services at Schneider Electric.
A warm welcome to all the participants. It's my privilege to be standing in front of the most elite technocrats of this country. And my mandate for the next 20 minutes is to take you through some of the solutions and services which Schneider has across the data centers. And my team will be most happy to help you out through this next 2 days in actually helping you solving these business cases, either through presentations or one-on-one sessions. And in the next 20 minutes, let's see what we have for you. Predominantly across the data centers, infrastructure, what we have in terms of the management of it. Right, so let's move. A little on the Schneider Electric itself. We are basically a powerhouse company, almost having a history of 130 years in existence. Today we are doing a business of around 22.4 billion euros. We are listed at the France Stock Exchange with 39% of sales coming from the new economies. We have around a presence in 100 countries with around 130,000 people. And most of the money, especially the R&D is very critical for us to be in existence in this business. We spend around 3 to 5% on this. The solutions are mainly in terms of what we provide for utility and infrastructure, industrial machines, data centers, non-residential buildings and residential buildings. We have divided our business into 4 zones. Most of it comes from Western Europe, which contributes to around 32%, North America, Asia Pacific, and 18%. And very significantly, in the last 2 to 3 years, there's been a significant tilt in Asia Pacific, with China getting more importance. So that's a new zone which we have recognized, and Asia Pacific contributing to close to around 30%. Right. So here's a dilemma which we live in, all of us as technocrats. We all know that energy is very essential for us, and we also know some of the statistics say that by the end of 2050, the energy and demand is going to double. Now, while this is going to grow double, we also have certain protocols with us to reduce the emission of carbon. And to what extent it grows by double, we need to reduce the emission of carbon by around 50%. Now, there's a big challenge. So what we are looking at in the future is basically frequent power outages. And believe me, frequent power outages is just not what we're talking about domestic, but it is mainly the industrial and the business critical applications. So we're going to see rising energy prices. This is going to be, a significant part of our cost, what we estimate. There are going to be a lot of climate changes and a lot of protocols will be defined in this period, and there'll be conflict for resources. So I'm not too sure. I'm not a learned person on the resources part of it, but each and every single country is going to preserve or conserve some of the resources it has, and it has to have some solutions in and across this. So this is what we're going to live up in the next 20, 30 years of our lifetime. And so there are several opportunities, so while we have all these dilemmas, but we have several opportunities. One is clearly on the supply side, where, a lot of renewable energies we can actually use. We can make them more clean and efficient for the use. But remember one thing, that, the clean energy or the renewable energy comes as a very high cost. Whatever hydrocarbons what we are using will be highly depleting, but the cost of actually getting into renewable is very, very high. Right, so we have solutions and technologies across this clean energy, but what is most significant is on the demand side, where the energy usage and conservation is happening. We have an opportunity of saving at least 30% and more, and I'll be very humble. 30% is possible in organizations, all of you which you work, in terms of getting in some basic operational changes and a major minor retrofit changes. But 30% is possible, and that's what most of the organizations, since they don't have control on the demand, the supply side, but at least on the demand side are focusing. So in all my interactions with most of the CIOs, they come back saying, can you help us reduce the energy consumption or the carbon footprint in our data centers or the critical space. So that's going to be the key focus, and what is going to be the KPI for this is the energy efficiency. So that is what we will all, leaning towards. Right, so I mean, as energy specialist, Schneider has one goal, to, not between the producers, the producers are all those the energy manufacturers and the users, the energy usage, but we lie somewhere in between in actually helping, all the customers, all the key stakeholders in this to, help make the energy most safe, most reliable, most efficient, productive, and green. So that's what we do at Schneider Electric, and we can help you save anything between 30 to 70%. So this is what we have solutions and technologies around. Right, just take a look at the small statistic. This is what, this slide shows. 17,096 is the terawatt hour consumption of power usage on the Earth, planet Earth in 2008. Some of the figures are old, but nevertheless they are very significant. 17,000 terawatt power usage in 2008. Of that, 8% was consumed by data centers alone. So I'm leaving you with your thought. Just think about it. 8%, if you're not thought so, please start thinking. 8% of energy consumed in the data centers, and actually 1/3 of that was wasted. So I mean, we have an opportunity to actually save 410 terawatt hours, with us, available with us. And look at some of the numbers on the right-hand side. France consumed 536 terawatts of its consumption for the whole of the country. And so, I mean, have these relationships, 400 terawatts, 536 French consumption. The total power, built in 2009 was 340 terawatt hours. And then the solar was 26 terawatt hours. So while we are spending most of our money, the cost of energy is very high for this wind and solar. I mean, think about what lies with us to save around 400 terawatt hour just by implementing operational changes and the major minor retrofit changes what we have with us. So this is the dynamics of what Schneider is helping its customers with. Right. So what we do, I mean, we have a window, we have a vision actually, to help you across this whole area, starting from generation, distribution to the critical space, which is the building and where the data center is housed, to up to our own devices. So we have solutions across, all these business units within Schneider can actually help you bring a complete visibility in terms of networking these components across these areas and bringing you a common dashboard. So we have solutions across this. And this is what we call as a suite, which is known as EcoStruxure. Right. There are a lot of governance, happening in this field of data centers, starting with the Green Grid. Now, Green Grid is a global consortium, actually, which is, people like you, learned people like you, which is setting up new standards. They're setting up new standards, they are setting up new processes and technologies to improve the data center performance. Incidentally, Schneider Electric is one of the founder members of this Green Consortium, and you'll see coming, to age in the near future, a lot of these standards and processes even specified by some of the government agencies in India. Then there is US Environmental Protection Agency, that is EPA, which is again defining some standards onto green or the Energy Star ratings, which are now available. They were mainly focusing on the buildings, but that has been now shared with the data centers also. There's a European Commission of Institute of Energy, which is dealing with the code of conduct. Right? And then we have, companies like you, large enterprises like you, which are already pledging towards reducing their carbon footprint, and they are trying to work with companies like us who can help them actually save energy. So remember one thing, that there's a lot of movement happening in this front in terms of the data centers which are being in use. I mean, just a small history that when the IT evolution happened in India, the adoption which happened in late 90s and early 2000s, the data centers or the critical space were built typically by system integrators without following any code of conduct. So, what happened is, over a period of time, as they have come of age, there is a lot of challenges in terms of operating efficiencies or the cost of operations. Now, that's something, wherein we need to plug in these gaps. So these organizations are actually working for the benefit of prescribing some standards which will be going forward very useful. So, I mean, one of the cardinal thing in this is again efficiency, operating efficiencies and energy efficiencies. Right, so what is DCPI? What does the Schneider Electric Data Center Solution Teams brings you? It actually addresses all the data center physical infrastructure components, starting from racks going up to the row, the entire room, which is a data center, or the entire building. It encompasses all these physical elements which actually support the IT. So we have, the key goals what we drive again is availability and efficiency. Now, I mean, some of the challenges, and most of you will agree with this, you will have many more to these challenges what we have actually written on these slides. First thing is the agility. I mean, the CIOs are confronted with these challenges in terms of the speed to actually build new data centers in responses to whatever happening in terms of the business climate. The service level qualities are ever increasing. What was just left as 8/7 has been now 24/7. There are different technologies. Business continuity is a key task. Every CIOs and every CEOs are being challenged on this. There are a lot of compliance requirements which are not there prevalent in India, but they will soon come. So, I mean, this is what we will live in terms of design build. Now, as I mentioned to you, a lot of these IT adoptions which happened in late 90s and 2000, the system integrators build the data centers, so they are not aware of the standards, and that is where the compliance rules were not adhered to. Now, that is being a new mantra today, that all the data centers which are built are already energy efficient. So the designs actually have them. So that's a fundamental requirement. As we all know, I mean, the IT density is on a high. The centralization, consolidation is a key thing which is happening. Gone are the days when there were a lot of data centers geographically spread. A lot of CIOs are trying to consolidate their IT infrastructure, and so the physical infrastructure does go through a change. While the dependency on virtualization, multi-core processing is also on high rise. Now, these are certain things which actually burden your data center physical infrastructure layers. So, this is something which we have to be cognizant about. And all of that relates again to energy efficiency, where, today, I mean, CIOs are being tasked to run the data center not just as a cost center, but as a profit center. So, I mean, there are a lot of opportunities to save, and what you save in the data centers can then flow back to your businesses. So, I mean, good thought. So, these are some of the challenges, so agility, going dense and going green are the key things which will drive an organization to success. Right, and then what we have, so as Schneider, I mean, we have actually the best of hardware portfolios in the data center physical infrastructure. We have, the decades of experience actually in terms of the thought leadership, in terms of all the design criteria going for green, we have that. And we have end-to-end management suites, which are basically the software suites, which help you actually run the data center on a day-to-day basis efficiently, but also actually help you plan for the future. So we have all these things, the products which I have, which we will help you out with the next 2 days, basically are customizable. They can be a better planning tool, better coordination between these physical assets, and they'll be very helpful to you. So what is happening is that we are in an evolution state right now, where we are getting into new technologies to help us move to the future with all those compliances which we see in the previous slides. So we are better positions as a company. Now, some of the reference design, actually, if you see, this is a typical data center layout. And in the data center layout, you have the white space, which is the rack area. You have the mechanical and the electrical space, which is the gray area is what we call it. And these are all there are a lot of products across this area which we can help you out with. I mean, from a supply of product perspective, and also then getting into the services of these products. So I'll explain you, I mean, little on this in the next slides. So in the electrical room, we have actually the APC product, which is a UPS, is known for its quality. We have the UPS technologies, we have electrical distribution networks there, we have panel boards, conductors, relays, which comes from the Schneider product portfolio. In the mechanical room, we have we can work with actually all the piping designs. We have the coolant distribution being laid out for you. There are air handler unit, the cooling units is a part of this mechanical room. The IT floor itself has, again, electrical distribution, the security and instrumentation part of it, the cooling units, the rack PDUs. So all these physical infrastructure layer is what Schneider can offer you from a product perspective. And in terms of the management, then we have, all these physical assets can be monitored on a real-time basis. You also have options to actually control remotely and also automate some of the behaviors of these instruments or the assets from a remote location. So this is as per the design what we would get into. In terms of power, I can elaborate a little more on this, the power components. You have the medium voltage switchgear, the UPS, the transfer switches, the IT room power distribution, and this is what you'll hear from our teams also in the next 2 days if you have to actually go ahead with the problem solving. So you'll see all these products. You have the cooling, which is in terms of the precision coolings, the air coolers. Now, if you have the dense servers, we're targeting at actually closed couple cooling, which is either with variable fan or the overhead coolings is what we call. We also have the hot aisle and cold aisle containment coolings for better airflow management, and we have the mixed density environments available for you. We have racks. There's a company called as APW President, which we have acquired. And then the previous slide, it was Uniflare, which we had acquired for the cooling. But we have racks, which again, can house, which can be tailor-made again. And I'll spend more time with you explaining them at the booths there. We have those with us. We have the physical security system, again, a company called as Zycom, which we acquired, right from Intrusion card readers to security at workstation key locations, to CCTVs, digital locks, digital video management, fire safety and security is a portfolio what we have as a product. Right, in terms of management suite, we have this DCIM, Data Center for Infrastructure Management suite, which actually helps you manage your capacity and operation in the data center. This again can be monitored from a remote locations. We have the Network Operations Center or the Remote Management Center from where these software tools run, either at the customer side or at our side, and then we get into some kind of a trending analysis where we advise our customers as to what needs to be the next step in terms of management. So the Data Center Infrastructure Management tool is a very ruggedized tool. In terms of the services for lifecycle, so having built the data centers in the most efficient way, then it comes a stage where you need to operate. So we have by virtue of certain acquisitions in this field, we are actually having the latest operating procedures and processes which are required to manage the data center in the most efficient way. So I'll explain that in the next slide. But if you see the data center life cycle, you have several stages, right from the assessment of, as to what is the data center you would look to work upon. So right from the assessment to the design stage are some services which we can offer you. So what you saw in the previous slides were actually on the product portfolios, but on the services portfolio, we can actually help you with the complete DC design. DC design consultancy services, something what we can offer. There are services across peer review. So that means we can actually evaluate the designs, what you have for you from your consultants. We can actually do that. We can do the entire design build. I mean, we can help you with the build of the DCs. It can undertake the complete project management and have the integrated testing of the data centers before it is being handed over for production is something that we can take up. Now, what is important is going forward, the operate, manage, and the optimize are the key challenges which the CIOs and the IT managers and also the facility managers are confronted with. So, I mean, critical facility management, which is a specialized service which is offered on 24/7, feet on ground at the customer side, is something what we offer. We have the remote physical infrastructure management solutions complemented with data center infrastructure management solutions being offered to in the managed stage. The most challenging phase, what we are going through today is actually the optimize. So having built the data centers a few years back, today the challenge is, how can you reduce the cost of operations, or whether there are any potential savings which are available from this. And as I said, the data centers are not merely looked upon as a cost center, but also as a profit centers. So what are the technologies and solutions available here is what we offer as pure plug assessment services. The risk and availability services is the first service which we do, but we also come out with certain energy management solutions here in this part. We can help you with actually complete transformation of the data centers in terms of revamping or consolidation. So these are the services across the broad portfolio of data center life cycle. And the key value proposition is that we want to actually maximize the availability. Availability and uptime are the key goals in a data center or a critical space. Thereby, we want to actually enhance the productivity of all these assets, the physical assets, improve the utilization of the assets at the level of the efficiency is what we think, minimize operating cost, and optimize the energy consumption. So these are the key goals what we run through in both the product and the services portfolio what we have. Right, so having seen the products and the solutions and the services which we have key partners in our ecosystem, starting with the IT partners whom we collaborate. So while these IT partners provide IT solutions, we provide solutions and services across the non-IT part of it, that's the physical infrastructure part of it. So we are aligned with most of the companies you see here on the screen. We are also a part of this Green Grid Foundation, as I mentioned, the founder members of this. We are aligned with several of partners on that side. We have system integrators and contractor engineers, and we have some regulatory teams which we work with very closely. So that's a portfolio what we have in the ecosystem.